Every morning, as we open our eyes to the world, we are greeted by a swirling storm of sights, sounds, and sensations all competing for our mental spotlight. Yet, almost without thinking, we manage to tune out most of the sensory noise and focus on what matters: the alarm clock's shrill ring, the face of a loved one, the words on our phone screen. This seemingly simple act of focusing, which feels so effortless, is actually the result of complex and finely tuned processes within our brains. Understanding how attention and focus work, and how they can be shaped by our daily choices, such as exercise, takes us into the very heart of cognitive science. At its core, attention is the process by which the brain selects information for further processing. William James, a pioneer in psychology, described attention as the mind's ability to take possession of one object out of what seems like several simultaneously possible objects or trains of thought. While the language has evolved since James's era, the essence remains. Attention is about selection, and focus is the narrowing of that selection onto a single point or task. Today, scientists recognize that attention is not a single, monolithic entity. Researchers have identified several varieties. Selective attention allows us to concentrate on one conversation in a noisy room, tuning out irrelevant chatter and background clatter. Sustained attention enables us to focus on a math problem or an intricate task for extended periods. Divided attention comes into play when we attempt to juggle multiple demands, like answering emails while listening to music. Underlying all these types, attention is fundamentally limited in capacity. We cannot attend to everything at once, so the brain must constantly prioritize what is most important. The science of attention is grounded in a hierarchical organization within the brain. The visual system, for example, processes information in stages, starting with the detection of basic features like color and shape, then building up to more complex representations. Selective attention acts as a filter, enhancing the processing of information related to our current goals and suppressing distractions. This filtering is not random, but guided by modulatory signals from brain regions that encode our behavioral priorities. In essence, the brain is always asking, what matters most right now, and adjusting its filters accordingly. At the neural level, several key players orchestrate the dance between focus and distraction. The lateral prefrontal cortex, or LPFC, plays a central role in managing attention. It communicates with visual movement neurons, which help steer our gaze and cognitive resources toward relevant stimuli while suppressing irrelevant ones. This process is often described in terms of top-down versus bottom-up control. Top-down attention is goal-driven. It is what allows you to deliberately search for your friend in a crowd. Bottom-up attention, in contrast, is stimulus-driven, the flash of lightning or the sudden blare of a car horn that instantly captures your consciousness, whether you want it to or not. Another important control center is the inferior frontal junction, or IFJ, a region of the prefrontal cortex that helps coordinate where and how we focus our attention. The IFJ works with visual processing areas to direct our mental spotlight towards specific objects or locations, depending on what the situation demands. Together, these frontline regions continually interact with sensory areas, adjusting the strength and precision of our focus. Supporting these networks is the cholinergic system, a broad neuromodulatory system that acts as a master switch for attention. Cholinergic neurons, through the release of the neurotransmitter acetylcholine, enhance the brain's ability to focus and encode information. The health of this system is crucial for cognitive performance. Degeneration of cholinergic neurons, for example, has been linked to the profound attention deficits seen in disorders like Alzheimer's disease. The way the brain narrows its focus is also remarkably strategic. Recent research using electroencephalography and machine learning suggests that attention begins with the brain forming a broad representation of a category, for example, searching for a red car in a parking lot. Only after this initial sweep does the brain zoom in on specific features, like the shape of the car or a particular license plate. This two-stage process allows for both efficient scanning and precise selection. Attention is closely intertwined with other cognitive functions, especially working memory and executive control. Working memory serves as a kind of mental scratchpad, holding information temporarily while the brain decides what to do with it. Attention determines what gets written onto that scratchpad in the first place. In other words, attention is both a limited resource and a selection mechanism. It decides not only how much information we can process, but also which information gets priority. Of course, not all brains manage this balancing act equally well. The prefrontal cortex, so crucial for attention and behavioral regulation, relies on a delicate neurochemical balance to function at its best. When this balance is disrupted, as in attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, the ability to sustain focus and control impulses is significantly impaired. This underscores the biological foundations of attention and hints at how changes in brain chemistry, whether due to genetics, experience, or even daily habits, can shape our cognitive performance. Over time, psychologists and neuroscientists have sought to understand attention through various models. One influential concept is the bottleneck theory, which posits that there is a point early in the brain's processing stream where most information is filtered out, allowing only selected stimuli to proceed for deeper analysis. This explains why we can miss major events happening right in front of us when our attention is engaged elsewhere, a phenomenon familiar to anyone who has missed their subway stop while reading a captivating novel. Attention is also deeply personal and shaped by experience. Genetics influence our baseline capacity for focus, but so do training and practice. Over years of research, scientists have identified distinct brain networks that support different aspects of attention, and these networks can be strengthened or weakened depending on how we use them. The process of learning, for instance, can sharpen the brain's ability to filter distractions and sustain concentration over longer periods. In daily life, the importance of attention cannot be overstated. It is the gatekeeper for everything we perceive, remember, and act upon. Without it, the world would be a blur of undifferentiated sensations, with nothing to anchor us or guide our behavior. The ability to selectively focus is what allows us to learn, to work, to create, and to connect with others. Yet, for all its power, attention is fragile and easily disrupted. Modern environments are filled with competing stimuli, each vying for a slice of our limited cognitive capacity. Our brains are constantly working to prioritize, filter, and reorient, often without our conscious awareness. The brain's ability to redirect focus, what researchers call cognitive control, is essential for adapting to new demands, regulating emotions, and updating our behavior in response to changing goals. While much has been learned about the mechanisms of attention, many gaps in our understanding remain, particularly regarding how everyday experiences, such as physical activity, can shape or enhance these brain processes. Some evidence suggests that the context and intensity of activity can influence cognitive performance, but the precise details are still an active area of research. As we move forward, exploring the ways in which external factors like exercise might modulate attention, it is clear that the foundation is already in place. Attention is a dynamic, multifaceted system, deeply rooted in neural architecture and shaped by both biology and experience. Understanding its mechanisms not only reveals the remarkable capabilities of the human mind, but also opens the door to practical strategies for enhancing focus in our daily lives. Imagine stepping outside for a brisk walk or lacing up your running shoes, not just for your physical health, but for the sharpness of your mind. From the very first moments of movement, a quiet yet profound transformation begins in your brain. The science behind how exercise boosts daily focus is a story of chemistry, blood flow, and structural renewal, one that connects the movement of your limbs to the clarity of your thoughts. As your heart rate rises, it is not just your muscles that spring into action. Deep within your brain, a network of chemical messengers known as neurotransmitters starts to shift. Dopamine, often linked to motivation and reward, increases in response to physical activity. This neurotransmitter sharpens your drive and helps direct your attention toward goals, making it easier to resist distractions and concentrate on tasks. Alongside dopamine, levels of noradrenaline and serotonin also rise. Noradrenaline heightens alertness and readiness to respond, while serotonin helps stabilize mood. The interplay of these monoamines, as scientists call them, creates an internal environment that supports clear thinking and sustained concentration, laying the foundation for the heightened focus many notice after a good workout. But the influence of exercise on the brain goes beyond a chemical surge. There is a physical, almost architectural transformation taking place as well. When you move, blood flow to the brain increases. This surge is not just a side effect, it is a targeted delivery of oxygen and nutrients to the regions that support cognitive function. Studies in older adults show that regular aerobic exercise can increase blood flow in key parts of the brain, potentially slowing the cognitive decline associated with aging. The brain is highly sensitive to its vascular health, and with each heartbeat during exercise, you are essentially bathing your brain in the raw materials it needs to maintain and even enhance its performance. The benefits of increased blood flow extend beyond basic nourishment. As blood rushes through your brain during exercise, it carries a cocktail of growth factors. Chief among these is brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. This molecule acts like fertilizer for brain cells, promoting the growth of new neurons, a process called neurogenesis. In animal studies, exercise has been shown to stimulate neurogenesis, particularly in the hippocampus, a region crucial for learning and memory. While most detailed research has been conducted in rodents, the evidence is compelling enough that scientists believe similar mechanisms operate in humans. BDNF does not work alone. Exercise also boosts levels of other growth factors such as vascular endothelial growth factor, VEGF, and insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1. VEGF supports the growth of new blood vessels, a process called angiogenesis, which helps the brain develop a richer network for delivering oxygen and nutrients. IGF-1 assists in cell growth and survival, further supporting the brain's capacity to adapt and renew itself. Together, these factors create an environment where the brain is more plastic, meaning it can modify its structure and function in response to new demands. This neuroplasticity is central to learning, memory, and the ability to focus on complex tasks. The immediate effects of exercise on the brain are striking, but the long-term adaptations are perhaps even more remarkable. Regular aerobic activity has been shown to increase the size of the hippocampus, the brain's memory hub. This growth has been linked to improvements in memory and information processing benefits that persist well beyond the period of activity itself. In randomized controlled trials, young adults who participated in structured exercise programs showed measurable improvements in executive function, a set of cognitive skills that includes working memory, flexible thinking, and self-control, all vital for maintaining focus throughout the day. These brain changes are not just structural, they are functional as well. When researchers have measured brain activity and blood flow in people after exercise, they have observed enhancements in the efficiency of neural networks responsible for attention and executive control. In other words, the brain becomes better at filtering out distractions and sustaining concentration, a benefit reflected in improved performance on tasks requiring focus. Of course, the impact of exercise on attention is not limited to memory and executive function. There is also a powerful effect on mood and stress, two factors that profoundly influence our ability to concentrate. During exercise, the brain releases endorphins, chemicals that help reduce the perception of pain and induce feelings of pleasure or even euphoria. This is sometimes called the runner's high, but it is not reserved for elite athletes. Even modest bouts of physical activity can trigger endorphin release, contributing to improved mood and a calmer, more focused state of mind. Exercise is also associated with reductions in stress and improvements in cognitive clarity. As scientists have explored the biological roots of these effects, they have identified a host of mechanisms working together. Increased cerebral blood flow, enhanced neurotrophic factor synthesis, and reduced inflammation and oxidative stress all contribute to a brain environment primed for optimal cognitive function. Both acute and chronic physical activity can reshape brain structure, promoting the health of neurons and the connections between them, known as synapses. This process, called synaptic plasticity, is essential for learning and adaptation, allowing the brain to fine-tune its circuits in response to changing demands. Perhaps most striking is the speed with which some of these benefits appear. In studies where participants engaged in regular exercise for as little as 12 weeks, improvements in memory, cognitive performance, and blood flow to the brain were already evident. These changes are not limited to one age group or fitness level. Both young adults and older individuals show measurable gains, suggesting that the brain's capacity to respond to physical activity is robust and enduring. The protective effects of exercise extend into brain health across the lifespan. Regular cardiovascular activity may help guard against the loss of brain volume that typically comes with aging. By increasing brain-derived neurotrophic factor and supporting the growth of new blood vessels, exercise helps the brain resist the damaging effects of inflammation and the gradual decline in cognitive function seen in conditions like dementia. While not a cure-all, the evidence indicates that a physically active lifestyle can significantly bolster the brain's resilience and capacity for focus, even as we grow older. The relationship between exercise and focus is not a simple one-way street. Instead, it is a dynamic interplay between movement, chemistry, blood flow, and structural adaptation. Each run, swim, or brisk walk signals the brain to renew itself, to foster the growth of new cells, strengthen synaptic connections, and release the neurochemicals that underpin our ability to pay attention to the world. Although much remains to be learned about the finer details, such as exactly how different exercise routines or intensities shape specific cognitive skills, the broad outlines are clear. Physical activity is one of the most powerful tools available for enhancing focus and mental clarity. Its effects are not fleeting or superficial, rather, they are rooted in the fundamental biology of the brain. Whether you seek sharper concentration for work, study, or creative pursuits, the science suggests that a commitment to regular movement is as important for your mind as it is for your muscles. In daily life, this means that the next time you feel your focus slipping, the best solution may not be another cup of coffee or a frantic effort to power through, but instead a short walk or a few minutes of exercise. You're not just giving your body a break, you are tuning your brain for the demands ahead, priming the intricate machinery of attention, memory, and executive function. The link between exercise and focus is not simply motivational advice. It is a robust and growing area of neuroscience, one that continues to reveal just how deeply our minds are shaped by the movement of our bodies. Imagine standing at the threshold of your workday, your mind still foggy and a to-do list as long as your arm waiting on the other side. Now, picture yourself stepping outside for a brisk walk or doing a set of light exercises. It might seem like a small gesture, but science increasingly shows that movement, even in brief, gentle bursts, can set the stage for sharper focus and clearer thinking throughout the day. Over the past decade, a growing body of research has illuminated the remarkable relationship between exercise and cognitive performance. Rather than offering a one-size-fits-all prescription, the evidence reveals that the type, duration, and intensity of physical activity each play distinct roles in shaping our capacity for attention, memory, and executive function. These effects are not limited to a select group. They span all ages, benefiting children, young adults, older individuals, and even those facing cognitive challenges. For many, the idea that exercise can lift mood is already familiar, especially regarding depression. Yet, systematic reviews have gone further, showing that the same interventions that reduce depressive symptoms often bring cognitive improvements as well. This dual effect is more than coincidence. It speaks to the intertwined nature of mood, motivation, and concentration. When regular movement becomes part of daily life, mental fog and distraction can give way to greater clarity and self-regulation. The question of which forms of exercise are most effective has inspired a wealth of comparative studies. Across the board, aerobic exercise such as walking, jogging, cycling, or swimming emerges as a particularly powerful catalyst for cognitive enhancement. Systematic reviews and meta-analyses consistently find that aerobic activity yields the largest improvements in executive function, attention, working memory, and cognitive flexibility, especially in adolescence. But the story does not end there. Research in older adults shows that all types of structured exercise, not just aerobic routines, can bolster global cognition, with aerobic training still holding a slight edge. Even the briefest bouts of movement appear to offer cognitive benefits. In young adults, 4 months of regular exercise have been shown to measurably improve working memory and modulate attention-related brain activity, evidence not just of subjective benefit, but of real, observable changes in neural function. Children, too, respond quickly to movement. Studies show that as little as 3.5 minutes of light-intensity exercise can enhance executive function and mood. One study found that 10-minute physical activity breaks during the workday improved attention and executive skills in healthcare workers, underscoring the value of movement in demanding, high-stakes environments. The intensity of physical activity also matters, though the optimal level can differ depending on the cognitive domain and population. For example, in adolescents with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, high-intensity exercise seems to best support working memory and inhibitory control, while moderate-intensity activity is more effective for enhancing cognitive flexibility, the brain's ability to switch between tasks or adapt to changing demands. For most people, however, the message is encouraging. Both light and moderate forms of exercise, even when performed briefly, can meaningfully boost executive function, self-control, and the ability to focus on complex tasks. These patterns are not confined to the young. As people age, maintaining cognitive agility becomes an ever more pressing concern. Here, research points to a reassuring truth-structured exercise interventions, whether aerobic, resistance-based, or mind-body in nature, consistently lead to improvements in thinking skills and quality of life. In older adults at risk for or already experiencing cognitive decline, resistance training, such as weightlifting or bodyweight exercises, has been linked to gains in working memory and verbal learning. There is also emerging evidence that exercise helps preserve the integrity of white matter in the brain, supporting the efficient flow of information between different regions. While results for other cognitive domains are sometimes mixed, the positive impact on memory and executive function is robust enough to be considered a cornerstone of healthy aging. A particularly striking finding from recent large-scale studies is the cumulative effect of regular movement. For older adults engaging in at least 52 hours of exercise over 6 months, a little more than 2 hours per week, on average, has been shown to significantly improve thinking skills. This suggests that consistency, rather than sheer intensity, may be the key ingredient for cognitive gains in later life. Moreover, exceeding recommended activity levels has been associated with even greater reductions in mortality risk, providing a long-term incentive to keep moving. But what about the immediate, day-to-day benefits? Research tracking moment-to-moment changes in physical activity reveals that even small upticks in movement can lead to noticeable improvements in processing speed and self-rated memory. In practical terms, this means that taking short, active breaks, whether it is a walk around the block or a few minutes of stretching, can help reset attention and boost productivity. For children and adults alike, these microbursts of activity are more than just mental palate cleansers. They appear to retune the brain's networks for sharper focus and clearer decision-making. The timing of exercise is a common topic of curiosity. Is there a best time of day for a cognitive boost? While some studies suggest that morning exercise, especially when combined with walking breaks, may enhance executive function and readiness to learn, the broader evidence indicates that the cognitive benefits of movement are not significantly tied to the clock. What matters most is that the activity happens at all, whether it is before breakfast, after lunch, or as an afternoon pick-me-up. Personalizing exercise routines to meet individual cognitive needs is another area of growing interest. Recent comparative studies highlight that different exercise modalities, resistance training, aerobic workouts, mind-body practices, even high-intensity interval training, may offer unique advantages for specific cognitive domains. For example, mind-body exercises like yoga or tai chi could be especially helpful for attention and self-regulation, while high-intensity interval training might offer sharper improvements in certain types of executive function. Experts increasingly advocate for tailored exercise prescriptions, taking into account age, cognitive goals, baseline fitness, and personal preferences. For those living with cognitive disorders such as Alzheimer's disease, the news is cautiously optimistic. Systematic reviews and meta-analyses have found that exercise interventions can improve both cognition and quality of life in patients with dementia, offering a rare and valuable tool to support independence and daily functioning. While no single exercise prescription fits all, these findings underscore the potential for movement to slow decline and enrich the lives of those facing significant cognitive challenges. Throughout this expanding landscape of research, one message rings consistently clear: movement is not just a physical act, but a mental one as well. Whether through a daily walk, a brief session of light exercise, or a more structured aerobic or resistance program, physical activity reliably supports and often enhances our ability to focus, remember, and manage the complex demands of modern life. Even light-intensity movement, according to the broadest reviews, can lift memory, executive skills, and overall cognitive function. The threshold for benefit is surprisingly low. It does not require running marathons or spending hours in the gymnasium. Rather, it is the regular, mindful inclusion of movement woven into the fabric of daily routines that yields the greatest dividends for focus and mental clarity. In the end, the science suggests that boosting daily focus through exercise is less about heroic effort and more about steady, intentional practice. Each step, stretch, or set of movements accumulates, gradually sharpening the mind and expanding the capacity to meet life's many demands with clarity and purpose. The gymnasium, the park, the living room floor, each can become a laboratory for building better focus, one movement at a time. For many people, the first hurdle to gaining the cognitive benefits of exercise is not understanding the science. It is figuring out how to make movement a consistent part of daily life. The idea of working out for sharper focus is appealing, but when work, family, and personal obligations pile up, the intention to be active can quickly fade into the background. Yet the evidence is clear: finding a way to move, even in modest amounts, pays off not only for physical health, but also for mental clarity and sustained attention. Turning this knowledge into routine action often requires a blend of planning, adaptability, and self-compassion. Researchers are now exploring automated, personalized goal-setting tools to help individuals create exercise plans tailored to their specific needs and preferences. These adaptive programs, delivered through web-based platforms, adjust exercise goals in response to each person's progress and feedback. The goal is not to impose a one-size-fits-all regimen, but to help people discover what works sustainably within the context of their own lives. Early evidence suggests that this kind of personalization can foster greater adherence to exercise routines, which is crucial for achieving long-term benefits. Practical advice for starting and maintaining an exercise routine often begins with simplicity. Instead of overhauling one's lifestyle overnight, experts recommend setting manageable, achievable goals, perhaps as straightforward as a short daily walk or a few minutes of stretching between tasks. The mental health benefits of regular movement, such as improved mood and reduced stress, can serve as powerful motivators for maintaining the habit. Over time, these small successes build momentum. Each positive experience, however modest, helps reinforce the connection between exercise and feeling clear-headed and capable. Busy schedules are among the most common barriers to consistent activity, but a little creativity can make a big difference. Some people find that scheduling workouts as fixed appointments in their calendars helps protect that time from being overtaken by other obligations. Others prefer to seize opportunities for movement whenever they arise, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, walking during phone calls, or doing a brief set of exercises while waiting for coffee to brew. For those who thrive on structure, setting out workout clothes the night before or preparing a specific playlist can serve as subtle cues to action, reducing the friction of getting started. Morning workouts in particular have become a popular strategy for fitting exercise into a packed day. For some, exercising first thing offers a sense of accomplishment and energy that lasts throughout the day. By scheduling movement early, individuals may also avoid the unpredictability of later commitments or waning motivation as the day progresses. Still, the best time to exercise is ultimately the one that fits consistently with a person's rhythms and responsibilities. What matters most is not the hour on the clock, but the regularity of the effort. Establishing a lasting exercise habit involves more than just willpower. Studies among university students show that maintaining a routine of physical activity over time is associated with improved mental health and a more positive outlook on life. Students who kept up their exercise habits reported feeling more resilient and better equipped to meet daily demands, suggesting that the benefits of regular movement extend beyond the immediate burst of post-workout clarity. These findings highlight the importance of persistence. Even if motivation fluctuates or progress slows, returning to the routine, even in a reduced form, can help preserve the mental advantages built up over weeks or months. The question of how much exercise is optimal for cognitive focus is still being studied. While the precise dose-response relationship remains to be fully clarified, the consensus is that even modest, regular movement can yield meaningful benefits. Rather than aiming for perfection or maximal effort, individuals are encouraged to find a balance that feels challenging but manageable. This approach helps prevent burnout and supports the formation of a sustainable habit. Personalization remains a key theme in making exercise work for cognitive and mental health goals. Automated, adaptive interventions now allow people to adjust their plans as life circumstances change, whether that means scaling back during a busy period or ramping up when motivation is high. This flexibility is especially important for those who have struggled to stick with routines in the past. By responding to individual feedback and progress, these systems help people stay engaged and build confidence in their ability to integrate movement into daily life. For those just starting out, the first step may be as simple as identifying preferred activities: walking, cycling, yoga, or even dancing in the living room. Enjoyment is a powerful predictor of long-term adherence. When exercise feels like a chore, it is easy to find excuses to skip it. When it is enjoyable, it becomes something to look forward to, rather than another box to check. Over time, these positive associations help anchor the habit, making it less vulnerable to fluctuations in mood or motivation. Fitting exercise into a busy lifestyle sometimes means embracing shorter, more frequent bouts of activity. Instead of reserving movement for a single lengthy session, people can accumulate benefits throughout the day by weaving in brief moments of physical activity. This snacking approach to exercise, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, can be effective, particularly for maintaining consistency and supporting mental well-being. The key is regularity. Even modest movement done consistently has cumulative effects on overall well-being. Scheduling exercise, much like any other important commitment, signals its value and helps protect it from being crowded out by other tasks. Some people find that treating workouts as non-negotiable appointments reinforces their priority. Others benefit from enlisting social support, arranging to meet a friend for a walk, or joining a group class to increase accountability and enjoyment. For those who prefer solitude, technology can serve as a companion, with fitness applications, trackers, or online communities providing encouragement and feedback. As routines take root, the benefits of exercise may become more apparent not only in sharper focus, but also in improved mood, energy, and resilience. This positive feedback loop can help sustain motivation during inevitable periods of low enthusiasm or competing demands. If setbacks occur, it is helpful to remember that habits are built over time and can be resumed after a pause without losing all the progress made. Tailoring exercise plans to individual needs means recognizing that what works for one person may not suit another. Life stages, health conditions, personal preferences, and daily schedules all shape the most effective and sustainable approach. Automated, web-based tools that personalize goal setting can be especially useful, helping people identify and adapt routines that fit their unique circumstances. The ultimate aim is not perfection, but consistency, making movement a regular, valued part of daily life. In the end, the evidence points to a simple truth: the benefits of exercise for focus and mental clarity are not reserved for athletes or those with ample free time. With thoughtful planning, flexibility, and a willingness to experiment, nearly anyone can find ways to move more, reaping rewards that extend far beyond the gym. The path to greater mental clarity and daily focus begins with the small, intentional steps we take to integrate movement into our lives, one day at a time.